Welcome back to the podcast. This is Product Biz Made Easy, episode 18, and today we're talking to Hayley Sohn. She is the CEO and owner of Basically It Meals, and she has been able to scale her business using free PR locally. Her story is so incredible, her startup story, and how she's been able to grow this business using free press and no ads. So I'm super excited to introduce you to her and have her share all this valuable information with you. So I hope you stick around.
Welcome to the Product Biz Made Easy podcast, where we help you scale your product-based business. Your award-winning host and serial entrepreneur, Becky J. Anderson, created an 8-figure product-based brand that was sold all over the world and in big box retail stores. Each week, she will be sharing sales strategies, marketing advice, or inspiring interviews to help you scale your product-based business. Now, on to the show.
Today, I have Hayley Sohn from Basically It Meals with me. She has an incredible meal delivery service that's based out of St. Louis, Missouri. And I have been watching her the last 6 months and so excited about what she's doing. She's doing so many great things in the local area. And as product-based business owners, we sometimes forget that local is the most important place because it's right there where people can see us. And so I wanted to have her on today to dig into how she's been able to get so much press and be so successful locally. But before we get started, Hayley, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Becky.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you here. So for those of the people that are listening that don't know you, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business?
All right. My name's Hayley Sohn, and my business is Basically It Meals. We do healthy, delicious, delivered, gluten-free meals right here in St. Louis.
That's awesome. So, Hayley, how did you get started in this business?
So I got my degree in nutrition and exercise physiology at Mizzou, and I started out in nutrition education. So basically, I would go out to various groups that I had contracts with and teach healthy eating. And growing up in a family that cooked at home every night, I was always saying, okay, and you're going to cook at home. And I quickly realized that people don't cook at home, and it's a huge barrier to our health. And so kind of like seeing that, understanding that, it was very disheartening. I did start to teach people how to cook at home, how to make that easy and accessible, but there was still a huge gap. There was still people saying, okay, but I'm not going to ever do that. So what can I get at the fast food restaurant, or what can I, order from the pizza delivery? And at the same time, I was always bringing my healthy meals to work. I cooked for myself at home. And my coworkers started asking, how can we get you to just bring some of that for us? So I started selling them the food that I was cooking for myself and quickly put the two together. Like, okay, if I can sell food to them, I can sell it to these people that I'm actually trying to help. And understanding that I could fill that other gap too. So I could teach people how to do it, or I could just do it for them. And then there really was no excuse.
Wow, that's awesome. That's taking a pain point, listening to your friends and turning it into a business. And I can totally relate to that because life gets so crazy and you're so busy, and it's like you have the intentions of eating healthy, but if you're in a hurry and you have a lot of stuff going on, it's like the quickest thing is just going out. You're right. So
absolutely. Yeah.
I love that idea. So you got the idea from the friends, but then it's like, how did you really get started? Like that had to be a big, huge thing figuring out.
Yeah, it was. And it was very slow. I was at my corporate job still and kind of doing that on the side. And it took me a while to kind of get to the place where I realized that I wanted to do that full time. I didn't feel fulfilled in my day job where I was just telling people how to eat for health. And a lot of times it felt like I was just lecturing to a bunch of people who weren't going to get any value from that information because they weren't ever going to be able to put any of that into action in their lives. So kind of getting to that place where I was like, okay, I think I can really make a difference by doing what I'm kind of doing over here and figuring out how to turn that into a business.
Yeah.
So I really started with that base of clients that I had, which were coworkers and kind of friends of coworkers and friends of friends. It was all this like kind of random group of people that had kind of jumped on what I was doing, and basically just quit my job and grew that base of clients.
That's awesome. Are you still delivering to those clients that worked at the place you did?
Some of them are still a part of it. A lot has changed. So much has changed since I did that. That program was called the $6 lunch. So obviously I didn't have business or profits in mind when I kind of started that. So a lot has changed since then. But yeah, I still have like some OG clients that have really stuck around and still love the service. So
I love that. Well, you had to learn a lot, like where to buy the little containers to serve it in and how to buy food wholesale. Was that all a big hurdle for you?
It was a huge hurdle. Yeah. So that was challenging. Kind of discovering that I can't just go to the grocery store and buy the food, and I can't do any of this last minute. It really needs to be planned out and strategic in the sense that like I can't have 6 menu items that are like super high in animal protein because I'm going to blow my margins. It was all those little things that I had to learn along the way, discovering where I can get the best price on, this lettuce and where I can get the best price on these chicken breasts. It was like just trial and error and really shopping around and making lists and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like any other product business where you're buying the raw materials wholesale and turning them into a product and selling them retail. That's great. So I imagine that you've had to upgrade to a big commercial kitchen.
So St. Louis has some commissary kitchens, which are basically licensed kitchens that you can rent time in. So fortunately, I didn't have to go the route of buying my own space or getting a retail space that had a kitchen. I can just rent that time from someone who's kind of put the money in for me, basically. And so we just work on a schedule. We have our couple hours in the kitchen every week, and we're there. We pay for that time, and then we're out and we're done.
So you must just do all your manufacturing in just a day for the week, and then you deliver for the week?
Yeah, we do. We do one prep and cook day and one delivery day. And we just work really hard and really fast and get it all done.
Yeah, you have to be super, super organized to do that.
Yes.
So I love your unique selling proposition that you're gluten-free, that you're all healthy meals, and that they're done for you. Because I have done the delivery meals before where you have to cook. And that's a pain in and of itself because it takes time. It saves the grocery shopping and the planning. But you know what I've noticed about those things? They take time and they dirty a whole lot of pans.
Exactly. So that for me is like, okay, if you really love cooking, but you're out of ideas, that's a great, avenue. But if you really don't want to cook and you don't really have time for it, that isn't helpful. Like you didn't save yourself that much time. You skipped a trip to the grocery store, but you still have to cook the food. You still have to clean up the kitchen. And a lot of those meals aren't intended to serve you for multiple times that week. And what I love doing, like if I'm cooking at home, I want to batch stuff so I don't have to cook every single night. So yeah, it's for me, those aren't very helpful. But having it done for you, completely done, ready to eat, all you have to do is heat it up or, grab it out of the fridge, is really saving all of that time, really, giving the client all that time back.
Yeah, that's great. So where do you get the recipes? Are you creating all of them? Are you making them up? How are you doing that?
Yeah, so that's what I'm better at, is making the recipes. So I'm pretty good at writing them out, making sure that they're healthy. That's very easy for me. Now, I did realize early on I needed a chef to help me execute it. I can cook for you and I. If you came over for dinner, I could make us a great dinner. But on a scale, I'm not so good at that. So one of the first things I invested in when I quit my job was a chef. And she makes sure that we execute properly. She double checks the recipes to make sure that they're scalable. And, sometimes she has to add a little extra salt or whatever if I miss something. But so I write the recipes and then I have a chef who helps me execute in the kitchen. And yeah, it works great.
That's great. So now food is perishable. So when people sign up for this, do they get the whole week? You cook them ahead. How long is the food good for? How does that all work? And is that a huge challenge?
That was a challenge at the beginning, trying to figure out how to have a scalable business that is on such a time crunch. But we've really gotten it down. We close our menu 4 days before the food goes out. So it gives us time to make all the calculations that we need to make, get all the food, get it to the kitchen, do the prep, do the cooking, organize it for delivery. So we really did have to kind of figure out that we needed that window of time, even though sometimes it might seem to the client like, why are you, I'm not getting this food for another couple of days. Why can't I order right now? And just really having to be strict with that and cutting people off. Like, we need this time to get, all of our stuff in order.
Yeah.
And then we have expiration, everything is on the label. So we expire everything within 6 days of them getting it. They have freezing instructions. So most of the items are freezable. And I always tell people that right off the bat. If you feel like you're getting towards the end of the week and you're not going to finish something, you can freeze it, or the box will tell you, which is very helpful for people. And a lot of times they're like, oh yeah, that was great. I froze it. And then I could just pull it out that other day when I, needed something to eat. Yeah.
That's good. Cause sometimes things change. Like, I know for us, a friend will call and say, do you want to go to dinner tonight? And I'm like, oh, I have stuff in the refrigerator to cook, but yeah, we will.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'll put it in the freezer now.
Yeah. And you shouldn't have to miss out on those opportunities just because you have food in your fridge. So yeah, it's kind of a nice combination of letting you live your life and also giving you that freedom of having cooked food in your fridge, and you don't have to worry about running to the grocery store or cleaning up the kitchen or.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. So you are currently on Shopify, right?
Yes.
Did you do all that yourself? How did you do that?
Well, the website was a real struggle for us. And for the first 6 months of business, we didn't even have one. So we were completely word of mouth and me taking payments myself. And I did finally find Shopify, which, thank God for Shopify. It was such a relief because I could not find a good e-commerce website that was user-friendly and business owner-friendly to build on the back end. So I had originally hired someone who built most of that, but ended up doing it myself.
That's great.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's great. You dug in and did it.
I did, yeah. And that was painful. It was one of those things this is not where I'm good, and this is not where I want to spend my time. But in order to make it what I want right now on the budget that I have to do it myself. And it was a great learning experience.
That's great. And I love it that you started before you had a website. You didn't let it hold you back and say, I'm not going to do this.
Yes. Yeah. And that's where I see a lot of people getting stuck or clogged up. It's like, well, I don't have this. You just have to do it, and you have to figure it out along the way.
Yeah. So out of all your customers, do you just all of a sudden get a bunch of new ones on the website, or how do you do that? They weekly reorder. They just go to the website, and people that are used to doing it. And then I'm sure you're doing things to market, and we'll dig into that. But yeah, how do they find you?
So how do they find me? The biggest way that we started out, other than just word of mouth and referrals, which I quickly realized you cannot rely on. Referrals are great, but when a client says, oh, my friend, I gave them your number, and that is not a way to build a business.
Right.
And so quickly realizing all right, we need to get out there in front of these people. And so social media was one of the first things I did. And quickly following was networking, which was incredible for the business. So it was kind of those two things, meeting people who know people and building really solid relationships. And then also having a lot of value to give on social media. And, not just come buy my product, but
right.
Here's cooking tips, here's recipes. I do weekly Facebook Lives. And so that was really valuable for just getting in front of people, because when you have good content and good value, people share it and people find you that way.
Yeah, they do. And you do a weekly show, right?
Yes.
Has that helped your traffic a lot?
It's been phenomenal. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. The social media, if you can hone in on your target and give value, is one of the best ways. Yeah. It really is. Are you doing much email marketing?
I am getting into it. It was a lot building the team, my team that produces the meals and delivers the meals, was a huge undertaking. And so, and actually being a part of that team in the production, was a lot. So for a while, it was kind of like the days that I'm not cooking are trying to catch up with everything else. So just now we've got a solid team in place. I don't necessarily have to be in the kitchen with them anymore. I am really starting to dig into the email marketing and building all of that up, building my list. And just, again, it's just another platform to offer value and get in front of people and be there with them.
Yeah. I could see email marketing being very successful for you because you could go, hey, the menu's closing today. Have you got your order in?
Yeah. Exactly. So we've been doing that. The weekly reminders I take the Facebook Live that I do and I put that into an email with some of the tips broken down in a recipe and I send that out. I do bonus recipe emails every week. The local media that I do, I send that out in emails. So it's really, the content was already there. It was for me, just like kind of getting it organized and and getting it out there. And that's been great. And we've also, alongside the emails, we've started doing text messaging, which has been awesome as well.
Oh yeah, I bet that would help a lot, the text messaging, as well as the email marketing. Because I could see you doing an email like at the first of the week, hey, the menu's open. And then it's like, hey, the menu's closing. You got to get your orders in. And there may be people that just go, hey, I forgot.
Exactly. Yeah. And there always are.
Yeah. So from a product development perspective, how often do you change your menu items? Like, do you shake it up? Like, are you on a rotation every 30 days or you just shake it up all the time?
So we do 4 seasonal menus. So we have 4 different menus a year. Each week there are 8 options and that is on a 5-week axis.
Oh, okay. That's great.
I know that's a lot of numbers, but, so essentially we do 5 entrees a week. We do 3 snack items, which the snacks are, similar. They're not as much goes into those recipes. And then we just rotate those 5 weeks through the season. And then when the season changes, and that really allows us to kind of utilize that seasonal food and seasonal menus and bring in more local items and all of that.
Yeah, that's great. Do most people use your meals for lunch or dinner or both?
Both. Yeah, they're entrees. So when people say, well, is it lunch or dinner? I say, whenever you need to eat it.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you keep them all within a calorie limit?
Yes, they are nothing over 600 calories. And nothing, great. Mostly, I say nothing under 400, but we actually do have items that go under 400. But our real goal is not to promote that anyone try and follow a strict diet. So a lot of people ask, are you keto? Are you paleo? Do you have, this other specific diet? And it's like, that's not my philosophy. And I don't want people to feel like they have to live by that. Mm-hmm. They should feel comfortable, like just eating something that tastes good and having it be balanced. So we do lots of vegetables. We balance everything with protein and healthy fat. And that is our philosophy. And that's what we kind of try to give to the people.
That's great. When I was going into the office every day, I would have given my right arm for something like this because it's like, you're so busy, you don't want to leave to go to lunch, but yet you have to. And so I found myself going to Wendy's a lot because it was next door. Chili, keep it under 300 calories and a Diet Coke,
Right.
So I can see it being great for offices. That might be a good marketing thing for you to put out a flyer and have some interns take it around to the offices and say, we're picking up orders for next week for lunch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's, we do have a couple offices that we work with. We work with, gyms as well, have been great. And yeah, just that is the next market that we're really going to be hitting.
I could see locally, that would be a great market because I know that concept works a lot for gifts in the product-based space. Like it's Mother's Day, you go to offices, hey, we'll deliver a gift basket for you. So you don't have to shop, that type of stuff. Same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so one of the things I want to dig into that I was really impressed with is how much local press you have got. And I think product-based business owners discount the local area because they're online businesses. But I think local is so important. You've done it so well. You're on the news all the time. You're in magazines. Here you're on this podcast. How have you got all your PR and how did you get started with that?
Well, thank you. So we got started just cold calling and telling people about the business and letting them know, hey, we're a local business with a local owner. But really after that, beyond that, with the repeat things that we've done, have been me building those relationships. A lot of those people have repeat guests and they don't necessarily think twice about that person when they come on. It's this is our guest, blah, blah, blah. So my goal going in there was to think of those people almost as a client.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I serve you? If you are my client already, what can I do that is going to help me stand out as your business or, the person that you're buying from. And so just everything I do, Show Me St. Louis is the big one. Everything I do for them, it's like, how can I make this the best for them, the easiest for them, the best for their audience? So I show up with everything prepped. I'm always calm and ready to go. There's no frantic or panic. I bring gifts for people. I save extra things. Like the last time I brought brownies and I wrapped them individually and I brought them around to each different person. I said, hey, I got you this brownie. And it wasn't so much schmoozing as it was let me make this experience great for you and make it easy for you. Your job is hectic enough. So how can I be the easiest, most fun guest that you have that you want to just keep coming back?
Well, and when you bring food, it always helps too. They love it.
The thing is, everyone brings food because it's a cooking segment. So that doesn't help me stand out at all. It's more like that relationship and just being genuine, being my best on camera too. And just having that to offer, okay, your audience is going to want to watch this because I am bringing my A game and I'm bringing recipes that they're going to be interested in. And, it's kind of those two sides. Let's build a relationship with the network and then build a relationship with their audience.
Yeah. One of the things for the listeners to remember too, these local programs are not out of reach to anybody.
No.
The issue is, because I used to be on ours all the time too. We had 3 local channels and I kind of did a rotation going on all of them. But the issue is pitching the editors, stories that would be interesting. So are they unique? Have they got, a unique selling proposition to them? I mean, will the customers and clients like them? So I can imagine what you're doing and going on and showing people how to cook would be good. But then what we all need to remember is they have slow news days and you never know when you can get called. Oftentimes I would get called the night before and say, we're having a slow news day. Can we show up and watch candles being poured on the news for the morning show? I'm like, absolutely,
Yes, you can.
Yeah, you just kind of get in with them and just don't get dejected by the first no, if they say no, but it's just keep pitching and do things that are relevant to the time that we're in or the season we're in too. Yeah. So I can imagine that, how did you get your first interview anyway? Did you call? Did you?
Yeah. So I had an assistant working for me. I gave her a list. She called around and we got on a bunch of them and it was, great.
Yeah. Yeah. And they all have their little themes they do, just like the national magazines do. They have the editorial calendars online a year ahead. So you kind of know what the national magazine stories and themes are. The news is the same way. The morning shows, the different local segments where it's not hardcore news, but it's an entertainment thing. So yeah, I just love how you've been able to do so much locally. You've also done magazines and newspaper as well, and you've done it the same way, right?
Yeah, basically. So one of them in particular, I just offered my advice, value to them. Here's what I know and, whatever articles you're writing, I can help you with. So I was interviewed several times as a contributor to different articles. And then the other ones was just, like cold calling and saying like, here's a local business. It's gluten-free. And kind of, listing some of our differentiators, and most of them, I think the big blocker for a lot of people is like, they're scared. Like, I don't have anything to offer these people. They wouldn't ever want to talk to me or write about me, but they mostly need content. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing, no harm in reaching out, and just not being pushy or salesy, but saying like, hey, I think I have something to offer you and your viewers or readers. And how can I help? How can I serve you?
I love approaching it from that attitude, because a lot of people are so afraid to reach out. I know I hear all the time they're afraid to call a buyer. And I'm like, what? It's just a human on the other end of the phone that's trying to make sales in their department. And if you have something to offer that's going to help the sales, they want it. Same thing with the editors. They want to know. Was it scary for you to pick up the phone the first time and call and ask, or it doesn't bother you?
Not that much. Of course. And what I like to remind myself, it's like public speaking. Of course you're going to be nervous.
Right.
So that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
Right.
You just own that. Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. They could say no, but that's the worst that could happen. So I just do it anyways.
Yeah. It gets easier every single time. Yeah. Yeah. So is there anything that you wish you would have known before you started that you know now?
Yes. I think one thing I figured out early on, this was also really, really valuable for me and will continue to be valuable as I move forward, was I figured out what I am really good at and what sets me apart. So there are tons of nutritionists out there who have, a similar opinion to me, but saying this is the lane in which I am an expert and the lane that sets me apart from other people. But on the other side of that coin, being a new business owner, I didn't realize I have to do every job. So I can't be in my lane. Like, I have to be in every single lane. So that was a struggle for me starting out, knowing like, this is not where I'm very good and this is not what I want to do, but I have to do it. I don't have the budget to be hiring people for all this stuff. And I really have to dig in and do this. So that was very challenging. And I think for anyone listening who's kind of like saying, well, I'm not good at that and I don't want to do that. If you want to get your business off the ground, you just kind of have to do it and just suck it up and do it. And it's okay. It gets better. It gets easier. Yeah.
You dig in and learn it. And then as you grow, you surround yourself with good people and you can be able to stay in your lane, which you're surrounding yourself with good people. And it sounds like you were smart enough to hire the chef right out of the gate too.
Yes. Yeah. That was a fantastic investment. And that has set me up. Being careful with hiring a good kitchen team has set me up to the point where I don't have to be in the kitchen anymore. And I get to have that time to work on the business and not in the business. And really, again, puts me back into the lane in which I'm an expert.
Yeah, that's great. So where do you see yourself going next? How are you going to scale beyond what you're doing now?
So we've got a bunch of things in the works, but for sure diversifying. So we are, in the food industry, the margins aren't great. So looking for better sources of more profitable income is definitely going to be a part of that. We're working on a membership site, which I'm really excited about. We are working on some product lines, some food, some paper goods like calendars, something like that.
Cookbook?
What's that?
A cookbook?
A cooking show. I'm doing a lot of local cooking classes and just finding more ways to carry out my mission.
To diversify and get your 5 sales buckets like I like everyone to have.
Yes, that is where we're going. Yeah. So we've got one solid and we're slowly picking up the other 5.
That's great. Well, I'm excited to see what happens with your membership site.
Me too. I can't wait. Yeah. So that's definitely a passion project and kind of something I always knew that I wanted, but didn't know how that worked necessarily.
Yeah.
So once that gets launched, I'm just so excited for that.
it's a great way for product-based business owners to be able to have passive income by adding something like that. So
oh my gosh. Yeah. I feel like it's going to create a little bit of breathing room for us. The food industry can be really hard, margin wise. So,
yeah, the food can, but products too, as you're scaling and you're ramping up inventory and stuff, you end up putting a lot of what you're making back into the business. So it takes time, but because you're ramping up, but you'll get there. Yeah. So Hayley, thank you so much for spending the time with us today. Where can we find you?
So you can find me on Facebook at Basically It Meals, on Instagram at basically_it_, and I think my LinkedIn is just my name, Hayley Sohn, Hayley, last name Sohn, Sohn.
That's great. Thank you so much, Hayley.
Have a great day. Thank you so much for having me. You too.
You bet. We'll see you. Thank you so much for listening to Product Biz Made Easy podcast. Now, don't forget to hop on over to BeckyJAnderson.com and grab your free strategy roadmap, as well as check out all the resources and things that there are over there to help you grow your product-based business. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody.